Hello, my name is Schumann and my talking is about arithmetic functions in actin filament networks. My research is focused on actin filament networks as a computation medium. The point is that actin filaments are sensitive to autocellular stimuli, attractants as well as repellents, and they appear and disappear at different places of the cell to change the cell structure, for instance, its shape. Due to assembling and disassembling actin filaments, Amoeba proteus can move in responses to different stimuli. As a result, Amoeba proteus can be considered a simple reversible logic gate where autocellular signals are its inputs and the Amoeba motions are its outputs. Amoeba proteus is very sensitive to the environment and reacts directly to external stimuli by the motility of its shape. This shape changes due to the cytoplasmic streaming that extends pseudopodia towards attractants food. So the amoeboid locomotion is committed forward if the amoeba detects an attractant. Meanwhile, for amoeba proteus, there exist repellents as well. The amoeba avoids strong light and it moves towards the weaker light. Also, it avoids dark, it moves towards light, and many other conditions. For example, some chemicals such as salt, obstacles, anode, it moves toward cathode, cold, it moves towards soft, and hot, it prefers soft, etc. The amoeboid reactions to attractants and repellents are studied well and explained by actin filaments or f-actin. For instance, the protein, which is organized into higher-order structures, forming linear bundles, two-dimensional networks, and three-dimensional semi-solid gels. Actin monomers polymerize to form thin, flexible fibers, actin filaments 5 to 9 nanometers in diameter, and up to several micrometers in length. Actin filaments are connected to the plasma membrane, where they form an actin cortex that provides mechanical support. If there is an attractant before the cell, actin filaments form a wave to change the cell shape to allow the movement of the cell surface to build a pseudopodia by cross-linked filaments. Taking into account the fact that it is known in general how it is possible to control the polymerization and depolymerization of actin filaments, we can consider the amoeba, more correctly the actin filament networks, as an automaton where, first, the external forces to which the actin filaments are responding are its inputs, and second, all the responses causing the amoeba motility are its outputs. In this way, it is easier to implement reversible logic gates where a unique input is associated with a unique output, and vice versa. In these gates, the automaton maps each distinct bit string input of the length n into a distinct bit string output of the same length. For example, the Fredkin Gate is reversible. For the input AGE, it gives the output CDB by the following rule: A is equal C, D is equal O, and not AG, and AE, and B is equal O and A and G, and not A and E. For instance, we deal with the three inputs AGE and the three outputs CDB. The Fredkin gate can be implemented by the amoeba proteus motility as follows. Let us take the input string AGE with the following meaning: A is equal 0 if an appropriate zone of the microenvironment contains an obstacle barrier, and A is equal 1 otherwise. Second, G is equal 1 if an appropriate zone of the microenvironment contains an attractant, and G is equal 0 otherwise. Third, E is equal 0 if an appropriate zone of the microenvironment contains an obstacle barrier, and E is equal 1. The Fredkin gate for amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 1, G is equal 1, E is equal 1, and the three outputs C is equal 1, the cell zone C moves forward, D is equal 1, the cell zone D moves forward, B is equal 1, the cell zone B moves backward. Next, the Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 1, G is equal 1, E is equal 0, and the three outputs C is equal 1, the cell zone C moves forward, D is equal 0, the cell zone D doesn't move, B is equal 1, the cell zone B moves backward. Next, the Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 1, G is equal 0, E is equal 1, and the three outputs C is equal 1, the cell zone C moves forward, D is equal 1, the cell zone D moves forward, B is equal 0, the cell zone B doesn't move. Next, the Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 1, G is equal 0, E is equal 0, and the three outputs C is equal 1, the cell zone C moves forward, D is equal 0, the cell zone D doesn't move, B is equal 0, the cell zone B doesn't move. The Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 0, G is equal 1, E is equal 1, and the three outputs C is equal 0, the cell zone C doesn't move, D is equal 1, the cell zone D moves forward, B is equal 1, the cell zone B moves backward. Next, the Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 0, G is equal 1, E is equal 0, and the three outputs C is equal 0, the cell zone C doesn't move, D is equal 1, the cell zone D moves right, B is equal 0, the cell zone B doesn't move. The Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 0, G is equal 0, E is equal 1, and the three outputs C is equal 0, the cell zone C doesn't move, D is equal 0, the cell zone D doesn't move, B is equal 1, the cell zone B moves forward. The Fredkin Gate for Amoeba proteus with the three inputs A is equal 0, G is equal 0, E is equal 0, and the three outputs C is equal 0. It means the cell zone C doesn't move, D is equal 0, the cell zone D doesn't move, B is equal 0, the cell zone B doesn't move. Let us consider the discrete time t is equal 1, 2, 3, and so on, assuming that at each time step t, the actin filaments of the amoeba proteus face not more than n attractants or repellents and react to any stimuli. Then the amoeba motion can be examined as an arithmetic function f(2n) is equal y, where xy belong to the set from 0 to n minus 1. Thus, if the amoeba meets not more than n stimuli at t is equal 0, 1, 2, and so on, then we obtain a sequence of functions where at each t is equal I, the arithmetic function can be different. Let us denote this sequence by f. It can be considered a p-adic valued function for p is equal to in. In this way, each p-adic valued arithmetic function denoted just an infinite trajectory of an amoeba under the conditions of not more than n inputs at each time step t. These trajectories can be combined by arithmetic and logical operations on the p-adic valued sets. In this way, we can simulate a colony of amoebas, their common locomotions, their ongoing divisions and deaths. Thank you very much for your attention.